Today I'm going to talk about what is an accordion and why play one. To answer the second question, at least partially first, why play an accordion? Because it's fun. We'll have more reasons later, but that's the main reason. And so now I'm going to talk about the first question, what is an accordion? And I'm reminded of when the famous Green Bay Packers coach Vince Lombardi started out one of his training sessions thinking he needed to go back to the fundamentals, holding up a football and saying, "This is a football." Well, this is an accordion. And more specifically, this is a piano accordion. There are other types of accordions, and in future videos we might discuss those, but I primarily only play the piano accordion in most of the videos here, unless I get requests for information about other types of accordions, such as chromatic button accordions. Most of these will be on the piano accordion. The piano accordion is defined basically by its parts and its utility. The most important parts are inside. You can't see them from right now. They're what's called free reeds, and the accordion utilizes the principle of the free reed to generate its tones, and it's basically air flowing over a free reed, causing it to vibrate and causing the air to vibrate and generating its tone when the air is forced by the bellows. The accordion has basically three parts. It has the bellows, which there's an air button here by which you can open and close them, or they'll open and close with a tone, and they're what causes the air to go to in either direction, whether you're pulling or pushing the bellows over the reeds. It also has, the piano accordion has this keyboard that looks very much like a piano keyboard. In fact, using the middle reeds, and we'll talk about the various sets of reeds later, but using the middle reeds, this is the equivalent of middle C on the piano keyboard. This side of the accordion from the bellows on over is sometimes called the treble side or the right hand side. So that's, in addition to the bellows, one of the three parts. The third part, of course, is the left hand side of the accordion, or the bass button side of the accordion, and it uses buttons to make sounds or chords. We'll talk much more about that in another video. These things together all kind of provide a certain kind of utility, which is unique almost for an instrument that has some of these functions. It's unique because it's portable. If you play a piano with a keyboard like this, or an organ with a keyboard like this, it's not portable. You can't take it someplace and play it. Now, there are electronic keyboards which you can take someplace and play, but you can't take those someplace and play them without there being electricity there that you can plug into, or without having battery power that you supply, and you have to recharge the battery power. So they're not truly portable in the sense that an accordion is. So having talked about the three sections and kind of the utility of the accordion, we'll talk a little bit more about its construction. And one of the first three sections that I mentioned is the treble or keyboard side of the accordion. And the keyboard generally will be anywhere from 24 on maybe a student size accordion to 41 on basically a full size accordion, 41 keys. Now, that's counting both the white keys and the black keys. The black keys are either sharps or flats of the notes that they're next to, depending on whether they're below it or above it. We'll cover that in more detail in another session. And With the bellows, I've already tied, they can go in and out, and they provide a certain form of utility. You may have seen some accordions that do, some accordion players that play with the bellows shake. They allow you to do that. They allow you to make the music softer or louder, according to how hard you pull the bellows. So they allow their own kind of utility. And the third section is the bass section, as I mentioned earlier. And generally there are anywhere from 12 basses on a very elementary student type accordion, 12 bass buttons, to this is called a 120 bass accordion. There are 6 rows of 20 buttons, 120. Don't let that intimidate you. A lot of them are duplicates, and there are easy ways to find your way around, even though you can't really see them. Excuse me, when you're playing the accordion. Those are sort of the main 3 sections of the accordion. In future videos, I will discuss and demonstrate more on each one of these. I'll probably have a separate video on the treble keyboard, separate on the bass buttons, and we'll talk about those in a lot more detail later. For this early video, though, I think I'll finish up with the discussion of why play the accordion, and I'll kind of skip some of the obvious reasons, like to irritate your neighbors or your spouse or your parents or your children, and we'll go into some of the other reasons of why you might play it. I've already mentioned a big one, which is portability. You can take your accordion someplace and play it, unlike a piano or an organ, and you can do so without having to have an amplifier necessarily, although, as we'll discuss probably in a future video, if you want to, there are ways of amplifying the sound of the accordion. Some of the other reasons are the range of tones that you can make in an accordion. And just on the treble keyboard, they range from that low to that high. There's no other instrument that I'm aware of that really has that kind of range and is portable and easily played. We'll talk later about all these switches and what they are for. The accordion can be played easily as strictly an acoustic instrument, meaning without electronic amplification. And that doesn't happen as often anymore with most other instruments. You see most, I for example, play in a very small group with some guys who play the guitar and 3 guitar players and a mandolin player, and they are always carrying around, lugging around with them as we go to play someplace, amplifiers in addition to their guitars and other electronic instruments. I bring in my accordion and a music stand, and that's basically it. So, and I'm able to play with and be heard with those electronically amplified instruments. An acoustic guitar, you're probably not going to hear nearly as well as you can hear an acoustic accordion. In addition to the range of pitches and frequencies, and I'm going to save most of this for a future video, but there's really a marvelous arrangement of abilities to play a lead and or harmonies with the right hand while playing bass and chord accompaniment with the left hand. And I'm going to leave, as I said, most of that for a future video. In the future videos, we may also discuss that if you do want to combine the acoustic abilities of an accordion with electronic sounds and amplification, that is being done in some cases now, and actually in many cases now. We can talk later about how to do that. In the meantime, I just want everyone to be aware of these basics, each of which we'll discuss in more detail later. The principle of this whole YouTube channel of mine is to move slowly for people who are not well acquainted with accordions or who want to reacquaint themselves with accordions, as many in my age group do after having been aware of them for years and then not having played them or been aware of them for many years. So that'll be it for today's video. I hope you'll subscribe to the channel. I hope you'll leave comments as to what you'd like to see in future videos. And I hope you'll check back in for some more detailed information on, for example, the treble side of the accordion, the bass side of the accordion, how the bass side works with other instruments, and topics such as that, and topics such as any of the viewers of this channel want to request. So thank you, and that's all for now.